All right, so like I said, we're on example 3 on page 199 today. And we're going to continue to write equations of lines. But today we are going to write an equation of the line through the given points. So your given points could be given to you like this. Where we get one point that's at 0, 3, and another point at -2, -1. So yesterday we worked with slope-intercept form, where you were given the slope and the y-intercept, and you wrote an equation. Then we worked with point-slope form, where you were given a point and the slope, then you wrote the equation. In both of those cases, you were given the slope. Today, you will not be given the slope. So your first step is going to be to find the slope. And if you remember your slope formula, your m is equal to y sub 2 minus y sub 1 divided by x sub 2 minus x sub 1. So if you're given your points, your coordinates, as a table of values, you can call this point number 1 if you want, and point number 2. And then you can find your slope. So if we take y sub 2 minus y sub 1, we've got -1 minus 3. And then our x sub 2 minus our x sub 1 would be -2 minus 0. And -1 minus -3 is -4. -2 minus 0 is -2. And -4 divided by -2 is +2. So what you have now is a slope and 2 points. So yesterday with the slope and 1 point, we could write the equation in point-slope form. That's what we're going to do next. What you can do is you can pick either point to use to write the equation in point-slope form. So I'm going to pick this second point. I'm using these coordinates to write an equation now in point-slope form. So I'm going to do the letter y and then the opposite of my y value. So I go y plus 1 equal to the slope, which is 2, left parenthesis, the letter x, and the opposite of the x value given. So plus 2. That's our equation in point-slope form. But we're going to go one step further today. We're going to complete this by writing the equation in slope-intercept form. So to take point-slope form to slope-intercept form, the first thing you do is the distributive property right here. You distribute this slope. So we get y plus 1 equals 2x plus 4. And then all you have to do is solve for y. So subtract 1 from each side. Now our y is equal to 2x plus 3. And if you're asked to graph it, you could graph it the same way that you did yesterday. All right, so your step one, your first step here, once you were given the 2 points, was to find the slope. Step two was write it in point slope form. Then distribute the slope, solve for y, and now you're in slope-intercept form. All right, so let's do that again. And now we're going to be given the points in this manner. We've got a -7, 4, 9, -4. If you want to label these, that's fine. Here's our x sub 1 and y sub 1, our x sub 2 and our y sub 2. We're going to find the slope first. Our slope is equal to y sub 2 minus y sub 1 divided by x sub 2 minus x sub 1. Our -4 minus 4 is -8. And 9 minus -7 is keep, change. And we get a 16. And -8 over 16 simplifies to -1/2. Next step was to write it into point slope form. You can choose either point. I'm going to use this point on the right. So my equation will be the letter y, the opposite of my y value given. So I go y plus 4 equals the slope, -1/2, times the letter x and the opposite of the x value given. So -9. Next step is to distribute this slope. So our y plus 4 is equal to -1/2 times x is -1/2 x. And our -1/2 times -9, that becomes a positive 4.5. So if you subtract 4 from each side, then our y is equal to -1/2 x plus 0.5. Any questions there? All right, let's look at -1. Here's our 2 points. -1, 3. -7, 3. And let's find our slope. So our y sub 2 minus our y sub 1, we get a 3 minus 3. Now, some of you may go, wait, what's 3 minus 3? 0. What's 0 in the numerator? You don't have to do the denominator, do you, when the numerator is already 0? Okay? We can take our x sub 2 minus our x sub 1. We would have 7 minus -1. 7 minus -1 is equal to 8, and 0 divided by 8 is equal to 0. So if you were to take that 0 and substitute it into the point slope form, we're going to get y, and I'm going to use this second point, y minus 3 equals 0 times x minus 7. Well, what's 0 times anything? 0. So we get y minus 3 is equal to 0. And if you add 3 to each side, then our y is equal to 3. And that is our equation for the line. Y equals 3. If you had to graph that line, or if you wanted a visual of the line y equals 3, if we have an xy axis and we go to 3 on the y-axis and we put a point, well, a line through that is the graph of y equals 3. Because at any point we go to on the line, what is y equal to? It equals 3, doesn't it? So there's the graph of y equals 3. It's a horizontal line. And let's do one more example where you could end up with an x equals. Let's take the points 0, 5 and 3, 3. So our slope is equal to y sub 2 minus y sub 1 is 3 minus 5. X sub 2 minus x sub 1 is 3 minus 0. 3 minus 5 in the numerator, that's a negative 2. 3 minus 0 in the denominator is a 3. So we get a slope here of negative 2/3. Let's use this second point again. And we get y minus 3 equals negative 2/3 times x minus 3. Going to distribute this negative 2/3. So our y minus 3 is equal to negative 2/3 x plus 2/3 times 3. 2/3 of 3 is 2. Good. And then we're going to add 3 to each side. And our y is equal to negative 2/3 x plus 5. All right, so any questions on writing an equation given 2 points? We're going to have a slight change of plans this week. Your study guide is going to be tomorrow. Your quiz is going to be on Thursday. All right. We are finishing today the last portion of this chapter, so I don't want to start a new chapter tomorrow before your quiz. And it will allow the quiz to go on your first 9 weeks grade, because the grading period for you closes Thursday night. So your practice for today is going to be on page 202 again. 7 to 9. And 28 to 30. Actually, 26 through 30.